Much. You know, the issue here is credibility. The oil companies, when they began producing oil, discovering oil, did not know about climate change. But they were the first to learn about it, and then learning about it, concealed it, and denied it. Mr. Wood, on June 6th of 1978, one of your excellent scientists, James Black, in the Product Research Division, circulated a presentation he had given to the Management Committee on the greenhouse effect. There's general scientific agreement that the most likely manner in which mankind is influencing the global climate is through carbon dioxide release from the burning of fossil fuels. That's a quote. In your leadership of Exxon, are you aware of what action was taken by the board after that report to it about the greenhouse effect was presented?
My understanding, Congressman, is that that report summarized the work of the broader scientific community, and the full reading of that report is consistent with the broader community. And
well, let me go on. There's others here. As you know, I don't have that much time. In December 18 of 1980, Exxon employee Henry Shaw sent an internal memo saying, quote, an increase in the global average temperature of 3 degrees centigrade and uneven global distribution of increased rainfall, in addition to some particularly dramatic questions that might cause series of global problems, such as melting of ice caps. Did Exxon, to your knowledge, share that information, really crucial information, with the public at that time?
I wasn't working for the company at that time.
So you're not aware. You're not aware that that information was made available.
My understanding.
In November 12th.
Knowledge. We had no unique knowledge. We were basically.
Well, let me just go through this, because these are records from your own company. All right, these are not fake news. This is internal documents. Exxon's, in November 12th, 1982, MB Glazer Management of Environmental Affairs Program sent a memo to the Exxon management on the CO2 greenhouse effect, saying CO2 release is the most likely source of inadvertent climate modification. And the prevailing opinion attributes CO2 increase to fossil fuel combustion. And finally, it said that mitigation of the greenhouse effect would require major reductions in fossil fuel combustion. Did you disclose that to your shareholders? Something that would be relevant to the value of your your assets?
My understanding, those reports were a synthesis of publicly available information.
No, I didn't ask that. I asked, did you disclose that to your shareholders in your report? That's my question.
My understanding is it was summarized. It's a summarized.
No, seriously. I'm not asking what it is. I'm asking whether that information was disclosed in your shareholder reports.
I'm not familiar with my reports back at that.
All right.
30 years ago.
In February 22, 1989, Dwayne Levine presented a report to the board of directors. He stated, quote, data confirm that greenhouse gases are increasing in the atmosphere and fossil fuels contribute most of the CO2. To your knowledge, did Exxon disclose that to its shareholders?
We've made all of our research publicly available, Congressman.
Was that, okay. I don't mean to be difficult, because it's a simple question. Did you disclose it to shareholders? Yes, no, or I don't know.
We made that research publicly available.
Well,
consistent with the broader
in May 6 of 1996, nearly 20 years, let me go on, please. Exxon's Lee Raymond stated in a speech to the Economic Club of Detroit, the scientific evidence is inconclusive as to whether human activities are having a significant effect on the global climate. Do you agree with that?
Congressman, our position taken at that back in that time, is my understanding, was consistent with the general state of the scientific discussion.
So you don't agree with Mr. Tillison? And finally, on June 30th, 2021, Keith McCoy, who Ms. Ocasio-Cortez asked you about, acknowledged that Exxon has, quote, aggressively fought climate science, that they have joined, quote, shadow groups to work against some of the early efforts, and that Exxon's support of a carbon tax is purely, quote, a talking point. He said that Exxon's looking out for its investments. How is this knowledge that ExxonMobil had about the dramatic impact of fossil fuels and climate change any different than big tobacco knowing about smoking causing cancer but denying it and continue to peddling its product? Explain to me the difference.
Well, as I said at the time, Mr. McCoy's statements did not represent our policy or our approach with respect to our positions in this space.
And the distinction between what the Exxon knew and what big tobacco knew but didn't reveal,
all of
the
our
difference
work
is?
was made publicly available. Our research was publicly available, and it was consistent and relied largely on outside work. We were part of the broader scientific community working in this space, and we had no unique views.
Well, thank you. My time is up, and I yield back.